Stop doing these 3 things inside of your business right now if you want to make more sales. If you're a coach, course creator, or consultant, you want to avoid these 3 things and wait till number 3 because it's the most important and what's made me and my clients the most money and the most sales in our business. Number 1 is just selling high ticket. Number 2 is talking about stuff too much. And number 3 is telling. So number 1 is just selling high ticket. Over the years, I've seen many course creators, consultants, and coaches selling their high ticket product or trying to sell. And the only thing that they've changed is the price tag. And if that's the only thing that you've done inside of your business, it's probably why you're struggling to get your close rate up. Just selling high ticket alone isn't enough. I remember when I did this 3 years ago. I had a course, I had a program for busy professionals. It was selling really well at £500. I jumped into a mentorship. They told me to start selling my offer for 2K. Didn't teach me about my offer, didn't teach me how to deliver high value, but all they said was just change the price. And I struggled because instead of selling high ticket alone, you want to sell solutions to high ticket problems. When people want to work with you, there's going to be a staircase for them to follow to get from point A to point B. And whether you're selling a core offer, a premium offer, a product, or a course, there needs to be steps for them to overcome. And each of those steps are a problem in their life or business right now. And if you can help them overcome each of those problems with your solutions, then that's going to give perceived value. And the more value that your prospect perceives with your product or your course or your program, the more likely they are to buy. Because if the payoff is 10x of what the payout is, it's going to be an easy close every single time. So instead of selling high ticket, sell solutions to high ticket problems. You want to get obsessed with your ideal client's problems, the problems they have in life, business, relationships, or whatever it is that you help people solve. But you want to become obsessed with those problems and not just figure out the main problems, but their micro problems as well. Because the more that you can dig for these problems and the pains of not alleviating or moving away from these problems on a sales call, the deeper you go, the bigger the problem, the more that you can solve that problem with your high ticket solution, that's going to lead to their high ticket payoff. Meaning that if their payoff is 10x of what the payout is, there'll be no objections to handle, there'll be no awkwardness at the end of the call, it would just be an easy close and transition. And by knowing their problems better than them, you'll be able to see their blind spots. You'll be able to ask them powerful questions on the call itself as well, which is going to lead to them giving you the answers, which is the truth, so that you can question their answers and answer their questions, which will lead to them doing the majority of the talking. I've seen this time and time again in my career that sales consultants or people that are trying to sell their products don't go deep enough on a sales call. And we want to go deep enough so that we can find out what their biggest problems are. What are the bottlenecks in their business? What are the bottlenecks in their life? And what do they really need to get a handle on in order to get to their ideal future, that dream vision that they have, those aspirations and goals that they want to achieve? They're already aware of their pain. They're already aware of their desires. They're already aware of their problems. But if you can make them aware of their problems and make them bigger than they actually realize, there's going to be more of a need and want for your products and for your service. And then when you can then convey to them that your actual program has the solutions to these problems, that's going to increase the perceived value. That's all that people want, is they have problems in life, they want to solve them, they don't know how to do it on their own, and they just want a roadmap from A to B. A bit like a sat nav. They want to get from A to B in the quickest time with the minimal resistance. And if you can prove that you can do that and convey that on a sales call and ask powerful questions that gets them to answer it themselves so they build that self-belief and emotion, you're going to close a client every single time. Which leads me on to the second point, which is the second biggest mistake I see people do on a sales call, which is talking about the stuff too much. I remember back in the day when I used to sell my program to busy professional men, I had the same spiel that I relayed off every single time at the point of the call where I wanted to tell them how the program could work for them. And I had 5 key core ingredients. You might have 5 key core ingredients or pillars in your program right now. And even if the 5 key core ingredients or 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3 wasn't applicable to the client or the prospect, I went through them anyway. And all it did was just create confusion and create overwhelm, and they would switch off from what I was saying. I wasn't telling them the features of it, the benefits, I was just relaying off. For example, when I used to sell to busy professionals, I'd say, we're going to look after your nutrition with this. We're going to get your exercise sorted. We're going to get your mindset right. We're going to get you accountable. We're going to work with support. And realistically, I wasn't linking any of this to their pains, to their problems, or to their dream future and their biggest payoff. And I was losing clients because of it. And what ends up happening is if you talk about the stuff for too long and you elaborate too long and you talk about your clients, you talk about yourself, it just makes that client think, wow, this is overwhelming. Wow, this sounds tough. Wow, this sounds hard. And then they just go into that emotional brain. This alarm goes off like whoop, 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 and then they just switch off. And when it comes to the end of the call, it's not because they don't want to buy what you have to offer. They just physically, mentally, and emotionally can't. You've made them powerless. Because instead of having anticipation and excitement in their heart to work with you, you're just clouding up these thoughts of dread and doubt that turns into anxiety. And then it just takes over. And then you give yourself a hard time at the end of the call, or you blame them because they're a wrong fit, and they end up just emotionally checking out and you're not aware of it. So what you can do instead is use a 3-step system, which I call features, benefits, and feedback. So when you're asking questions at the beginning of the call, when you are digging for pain, which is mistake number 1, not digging for pain and just selling high ticket. When we have enough pain, when we've got their biggest problems, we know how we're going to overcome them, make notes of this on the call. So if their 2 main biggest problems at the moment is accountability and support, and they don't know how to, follow a sustainable meal plan, then what you want to be doing is when you tell them about the stuff is mainly focusing on that and telling them the feature of the program. For example, we have a flexible eating regime and we have meal plans and recipes, and you'll also have a nutrition coach to help you with this, because this is the benefit part, it will help you with X, Y, Z. We have mindset calls in place because it will help you with X, Y, Z. And then you're following up with the feedback. Do you see a benefit with this, or could you see this working for you? And when they say yes, just say, do you mind elaborating? Could you tell me a bit more? Why are you so confident this will work for you? Because asking questions gets to the truth. Questions are the steering wheel of the mind. And he who controls the questions also controls the answers. And when you use the right frames with your questions, it will lead you down this garden path to an easy close inside of your business. So just remember, when it comes to you talking about the stuff, the features of your program, the value stack, make sure to use the feature, benefit, feedback system inside of your sales calls. Tell them the features of the program, how it will benefit them. Make sure it links to their biggest problems and their biggest payoffs so they can get to X, Y, Z result. And then, do you see a benefit with this? Can you see yourself doing this? Are you confident going all in? Can you see this working for you? When they say yes, elaborate on it. Ask more, get more details. That's going to get them to buy in more. They are then selling themselves. Which leads me on to number 3, the third biggest mistake. But the third biggest mistake is telling. I learned this many, many years ago, and it changed the way I sold. And the thing that I learned from a mentor of mine back in the day was that telling is shit selling, and asking questions gets to the truth. You want to become world-class at asking powerful questions. Questions that start with a W or a H. Your what's, your where's, your why's, your when's, your how's, because these are going to be open questions. And when you ask open questions to your prospect instead of closed questions, it gives them an opportunity to extend on what they want to answer, not just a yes and no. By asking open questions, you're going to hand the floor over to the prospect. They're going to do the majority of the speaking. They should be speaking around about 70 to 80% of the time, with you speaking the remaining 20 to 30%. And the golden rule of selling is that he or she who speaks the least gets paid the most. So asking powerful questions is going to help with this. If someone says to you on a call, oh, I can't see this working for me, ask how. Don't go into telling mode. Every time you get an objection, don't tell them how to overcome it. Don't tell them you said this on the call, or you said that, or what about this, or what about that, because that's going into telling mode. No one wants to be told. No one wants to be sold to. Nobody likes to get got. We all hate being sold to. We are not on a sales call, we're on a qualification call, and we qualify people asking powerful questions. And then when we've asked enough powerful questions, we then go into selling mode, which is telling them about the stuff. Once we get an agreement that that can work for them, we then go into the close. So we go from qualifying to selling to closing. And asking powerful questions along that journey is going to lead to an easier close. So remember, telling is selling, asking questions gets to the truth, and the truth will set you free, especially when it comes to objection handling. So if you stop doing those 3 things on your sales calls and do the alternatives that I've taught you today, you'll increase your close rate, make more sales. And remember, we're not trying to sell your product, service, or course. We're trying to create an environment that makes people feel like buying. When you hand over the power to the buyer to make decisions on their own, when they sign up to your program, course, or product, they think it was their idea and not yours. And that's where the power is. Thank you so much for watching today. I hope this served you well. Give me a like, a comment, and a subscribe below, and I'll see you on the next video.